2005. When you look back to the beginning and where you've come from since then, does it feel like it's been a good journey? Do you wish you learned what you wanted back then, or do you think it was all like, part of what you had to go through to get to where you are now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that one, it's been really just, it's crazy that it's been this long. It doesn't feel like it's been 6.5 years, but I feel like it's, like you said, it's a learning experience along the way, and I don't think I would change anything about what we've done, even though, like I said, that there was a time where I feel like we kind of didn't know exactly who we were or whatever, and we made a lot of compromises, but I feel like like you said, you learn from that, and there's no point in wishing to change things like that. So I mean, obviously that's just part of it. It's part of growing up and getting wiser and learning from your mistakes, and
And you've mentioned that when you were on Atlantic, they wanted you to co-write, various songs. Do you think major labels press for co-writes because they want that chart-topping hit? And how do you feel your own songwriting compares to a songwriter who co-writes for a living?
It's just it's a different kind of thing, I feel like. Like, there's obviously something to be said about, like, hit radio songs that people love, but the problem that we had working with co-writers is that you're basically put in a room with someone who knows nothing about your band or you as a person or anything, or your music, and you're just told to write a song together, and that just, it feels very forced, and it's not as genuine or real as how it works for us, where we just we enjoy writing music. I like to come up with music and write songs with the guys, and it's a natural thing, and we do it because we love it, because we want to, and not because it's a forced, like, kind of thing, and so I think that's why it didn't really work out for us, so.
You've got a song on the new album called No Heroes Allowed. Do you think there are any heroes in rock music, like either people that the fans look up to, or are there any musicians that are saving music?
Oh, well, for sure, absolutely. I mean, definitely a lot of my heroes are musicians, like Freddie Mercury or Kurt Cobain, or there's tons, but and there's absolutely people that are keeping it alive. It'll always be alive. People say that rock and roll is dying, music is dying, or whatever, but none of that. It's always going to be there, and people are always going to enjoy listening to music, and I think it's alive and well, and I think it just takes people that are out here doing it, and keeping it going.
But what makes a hero to you outside of the music world? Who are some real life heroes?
I think just anybody. I think being selfless, being somebody who is not selfish. That's the best attribute you can have. I think I think overall that's something everybody can learn from and try and aspire to be as selfless as you can. That's, I don't know, at least in my definition. Yeah.
In No Heroes Allowed, you sing, "My hero, she's the last real dreamer I know." Do you think heroes need to dream big?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think everybody should dream big and follow their dreams, and that's part of it. Yeah.
You tweeted on February the 24th, do something outside of your comfort zone. When was the last time you did something outside of your comfort zone?
Probably last night, but not in a weird way, but being crowd surfed in a room full of drunk people for Dan's birthday last night. But just things in general. It's easy to kind of get caught in a routine of things that you do every day and you're comfortable with, and sometimes it's nice to be spontaneous and just do something just completely unnatural, or something that you wouldn't normally do, and just kind of give you that change in your life. So.
And Jake's had problems with his vocals, and like he had a polyps on his vocal cord. How did that affect shows and life on the road?
It's been tough. Well, I mean, there's been 2 tours now. The one we did in the States, the End of the World tour with We the Kings, and then this tour have been the 2 tours that Jake's not singing on. But it's fine. We've adapted. Cabby sings more of the stuff that Jake was singing, and I cover some of it, and some of it we just have the crowd sing, and it is what it is. It sucks, but hopefully he'll be better soon enough that he can start getting back at it.
Have you ever had any vocal problems?
No, thankfully, none that we've never had to cancel a show or anything based on my voice being gone or whatever. So luckily, it's held out so far.
So moving on, your mother has been vegan for a couple of years, and your grandmother's vegan. So before you became vegetarian, how did they affect you? Did they affect you in any way, and what did you think of vegans and vegetarians?
Well, my mom has always, even before she became a strict vegetarian and then vegan, always growing up, she never really ate much meat, and I've always kind of, agreed with her on this. Well, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but even before I was vegetarian, I always kind of had this. You'd see people who would, those people who would knock on it or whatever and say like, I don't get why people don't eat meat, whatever and stuff. It's like, it makes sense to me. Even though I still ate meat, I would think, it's a reasonable thing. I don't see why you don't need to eat meat, And so even before I eventually found out enough to make me want to become vegetarian, I always kind of, had a, I guess, understanding with it sort of, and it didn't seem like a weird concept to me as much as it is to a lot of people. And I think a lot of that probably is because my mom,
And you did become vegetarian after reading Eating Animals.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Jonathan Safran Foer?
Yeah, Jonathan Safran Foer. Yeah.
So what did it say in that book that made you go vegetarian?
I mean, it's the whole thing, I mean, it basically made me realize that there's really only one reason to eat meat, and that's that it tastes good, and that is the only reason why people eat meat. And there's dozens of reasons not to eat meat, and then I guess, you kind of realize that whenever you educate yourself on it, just things that you never would have even thought of, things that most people don't think of, there's tons of different reasons why you shouldn't eat meat, and the only reason you should is that it tastes good. So for me, it just, became at that point, like, can't really justify it, it's not worth it to me, so.
And Jonathan started visiting factory farms in his quest for the answers when he was on the brink of fatherhood. Mm-hmm. Now that you're a father, are you bringing your daughter up vegetarian, or what sort of compassionate things will you instill in her? Yeah,
well, I definitely, want to pass that along as much as I can. I mean, it's a kind of a weird subject because my girlfriend, she's not vegetarian, but she lives at home with me and my mom. And so we eat, a lot of vegan, vegetarian stuff all the time anyway. And I've kind of told her that, our daughter Gray doesn't have to be vegetarian, but I'd like for her to eat not very much meat, not be brought up the way most people are, where it's, every meal of the day has your meat course or whatever. Like, I'd much rather it be, until she gets to the point where she can decide for herself, you know what I mean, whether she wants to or not, yeah.
And as we do grow up as children, like, our parents give us meals and, they bring us up in a certain way, and we get used to it. It's almost like, a tradition, like, drinking milk or eating fish. Do you think kids ought to be educated more about what they eat? And, do you think traditions and what others do aren't necessarily right?
Yeah, I think not just children, I think people in general. I think most people in general need to be educated on what they're eating, because they, most people don't really know, and I don't even know for a lot of it still, but yeah, I think, having the parents be more educated on is the best thing, because they're the ones who are, feeding their kids, and like you said, then you kind of, if your whole life you've been eating a certain way, it's hard to break those habits, whenever you're at the point where you can start kind of understanding it on your own, So, yeah.
And you tweeted, "It would make me so happy if you all watched Forks Over Knives on February the 4th. How did that movie affect you?
It was, like, for me, it's not like you have to convince me. I'm already, like, on the huge, advocate of not eating meat, but it was just another, like, more evidence in the direction of this is wrong. This system we have now is is wrong, and it's being held back from people that it's wrong. It's being hidden from people that it's wrong. But if you really look at the facts and see what's there's so many bad things about it. And the forks over knives one is mostly just about the health of it and how eating meat is bad for you and causes all these diseases and causes cancer and heart disease and multiple sclerosis and things like that. But like I said, it's just another kind of step in that direction of reasons why you shouldn't eat meat. So.
In You're Dead Wrong, you sing Make My Voice Brand New. As a singer in a band, you have a voice, not just for singing, but to give messages out. Do you feel that you have a message to give something outside of singing?
Yeah, well, that's why I don't do it as much as I should, and I've been thinking about it recently, about a couple blogs I want to write or whatever. But it's we have a very unique position to be able to talk to people and reach them and have them really actually want to hear what we have to say. There's a lot of power in that, I guess, and so I'd like to be able to use it for something positive and to make the world a better place. So that's why I do try and tweet those things or whatever. Or they have the AP speak out kind of things, articles they do. I did one on racism a while back, and I've kind of wanted to do maybe another one of those about eating less meat. One thing, this is kind of off topic, I guess, but one thing that I think the biggest angle that doesn't get approached is that we need to eat less meat. That's like, most people kind of look at it as there's vegetarians who don't want to eat meat because they don't want to kill animals, and I'm going to go on eating meat every single day. But they feel like they're not going to draw, like they're not going to completely cut it out of their lives, so they're going to just keep on eating it all the time. But no one ever says, hey, like, it's fine, you can eat it, but just the way that we're eating it is way too much, and it's the reason why all these things are going wrong. So just cut it out for a couple days a week, or maybe just have meat on the weekends or whatever, because there are plenty of great substitutes. And if you don't want to make the full commitment to completely cut it out, you can still do a lot of good by just choosing a few days a week or a few meals a week where you don't eat meat, and then you still get to eat it the rest of the time. So I mean, like, most people don't ever consider that or do that, but that's something that I think is a message that should be spoken out. So yeah.
In the UK, like Paul McCartney, he started Meat-Free Mondays.
Yeah. It's kind of exactly. Yeah, I think I'd heard about that, and that's a wonderful idea. I wish that would spread more. And you'd see more of that. But
okay, final question. In Call Me Hopeless, Not Romantic, you sing "Don't show emotion, let this go." Do you think too many people hide their emotions, and especially they don't want to look at things that involve cruelty? For example, if you want to show people like undercover footage, a lot of meat eaters don't want to see it.
Yeah, well, it's like the ignorance is bliss kind of thing, right? I mean, I know I've tried to have my dad read Eating Animals, and he's like, nope, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to know. You know what I mean? A lot of people have that attitude, and I guess I kind of understand it a little bit. I understand I maybe used to be that way a little bit, but I think it's too important, and it's too crucial to ignore and just, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the problem, is that it's something that's a hard thing to bring up to people, and people get very touchy and sensitive about it whenever you try and tell anybody about it or talk to them about it. But I guess we'll have to just keep on doing what we can.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.